This presentation is intended for Muskeg Lake Cree Nation members that are 18 years old and older. Those that are not Muskeg Lake Cree Nation members can sign off before I start. My name is Lawrence Greyeyes. I'm the son of Harold Greyeyes and the late Frida Henneke. I grew up on the Muskeg Lake Cree Nation Reserve and got my grade 12 in Marcellin. I spent 21 years serving on the Muskeg Lake Cree Nation Council. I'm presenting for a purpose. That purpose is to protect our community for the future of our children. In the next few minutes, I'll explain the threat to the future of our community and the reasons why Muskeg Lake Cree Nation is not the prominent community that we once were. I intend on helping make Muskeg Lake Cree Nation a progressive, caring community and assisting in the positive development of our children. I moved back to the reserve after completing my carpentry training, and I never intend on leaving. I am in possession of supporting documentation for what I have to say. There is a rogue website and Facebook page set up under Muskeg Lake banner by a businessman from Ontario who is in conflict with Muskeg Lake Cree Nation over a lease agreement dispute that is in arrears dating back to 2003 for at least $200,000. He is trying to discredit the current leadership of Muskeg Lake Cree Nation. First, a little history. In the 1980s, Muskeg Lake Cree Nation was digging out of a very desperate situation. Leonard Ledoux had been chief for 4 years. There was no money left, and the reserve was deep in debt. It took several years to work our way out of that situation. Here we are again, broke from 9 years of Gilbert Ledoux as chief on a ridiculous spending spree, and Leonard Ledoux as his advisor. Our community had nothing left but debt that Gilbert Ledoux and his advisors ran up on things that a community, in my opinion, should never have to pay for. Fortunately, we're 3 years into our recovery. During the last 5 years as chief, Gilbert Ledoux did a lot of things without consulting anyone in council. For instance, he hired a private investigator with Muskeg Lake Cree Nation money to follow me, only to find out I was the most boring guy around. Probably because I initiated a fraud investigation with the Saskatoon City Police, because at least $189,000 went missing from Creeway gas in 2005. Gilbert Ledoux managed to get his hands on the Creeway fraud investigation file from City Police. The file included witness statements, which were distributed to people on the reserve. Subsequent to that, a band council resolution in 2006 was written to City Police to discontinue the investigation. Fortunately, the current administration has requested City Police to revive their investigation, and that investigation is ongoing. Gilbert Ledoux went ahead and spent about $200,000 of our money on lawyers and court proceedings to try and kick 2 councillors off of council because they were questioning the very issues I'm speaking of. Those were Albert Dean Lafon and Clifford Toppyson Jr. Gilbert Ledoux hired a lawyer to keep financial information from council in 2004-2005. Gilbert Ledoux, while chief, punched a councillor, his brother-in-law Dwayne, in the head over a political issue. There were no membership meetings to discuss issues of the Muskeg Lake Cree Nation in the last 2 years while Gilbert Ledoux was chief, and no chief and council meetings in the last year to discuss any band issues. Has anyone seen the show on APTN called Blackstone? It's about corruption on a reserve. Well, I think that was what this reserve was like when Gilbert Ledoux was chief. Then toward the end of his tenure as chief in 2007, Gilbert Ledoux wrote letters to people begging for money to make up for what he had wasted while in office. Those people were dictators from around the world. The first one was Hu Jintao, president of China. For what? Probably to get him out of the mess that he had caused. The second one was Fidel Castro, president of Cuba. I think it was to replace the money that he had spent while he was chief. A third one was Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, presumably so he could get his hands on more money. The fourth was Muammar Gaddafi, dictator of Libya, who has since been overthrown. And then after all of this, have his assistant follow up with another letter to see if any of these dictators had taken him seriously. Who knows if they ever got any money from these dictators when the financial records no longer exist. After the state he left Muskeg Lake Cree Nation in, he has the gall to come to you and try and be your leader. He should be hiding in shame, or at least paying for what he did to our once proud community. Some Indian people around home, and Indians from other reserves, are saying that they pity the Muskeg Lake Cree Nation people if Gilbert Ledoux gets his hands on the finances again. At the time he got voted out in 2009, the councillors had taken his signing authority away, and, as importantly, the band master card away from him that he had carried for several years and spent countless amounts of money. Countless, because when he was gone, most of the financial records were gone too. The cost to keep Gilbert Ledoux golfing, curling, playing old-timers hockey, and going to casinos was immense. Again, those amounts can't be positively identified because most of the financial records were gone. Because he believed that being a chief was all about power and control over people and spending everything he could get his hands on. During the period of 2003 to 2006, Muskeg Lake Cree Nation received between $4.5 and $5 million per year from Indian Affairs. During the same period, between $8 and $10 million was spent each year under Gilbert Ledoux. We need a leader who can stand up in front of you, the people of Muskeg Lake, and explain what council is doing and how it will benefit everyone. Not the person who sat in the back of the gym and had a bunch of rich guys try to convince you to borrow $12 million. So if you plan on trusting Gilbert Ledoux with the future of our community and your children, then you will only have your grandchildren to explain to why there is no hope for them in the future. Even those of you who were on Gilbert Ledoux's gravy train, getting paid huge consulting contracts, producing little in the way of paper or ideas, that gravy train can't get going again. Because there was nothing left when Gilbert Ledoux and his consultants were done spending. After tremendous cost overruns from administering the construction of the personal care home from his office, Gilbert Ledoux thinks we, the people of Muskeg Lake Cree Nation, are gullible enough to believe that he knows where to get the money to run the care home that is now closed down. He should have found that money before it was built, and wouldn't have cost the band several millions of dollars to build and subsidize operations for 4 years. People of Muskeg Lake, there is no money coming. You think money will come from the provincial Wall government and the federal Harper conservative government when it didn't come from the Indian-friendly NDP and Liberals? He'll also tell you that a hockey rink will be built if he's elected. When Gilbert Ledoux was chief, he tried to spend millions of dollars on an indoor arena that would have been closed down shortly after it was built. A better idea would be for the band to pay for our kids' skating and hockey fees in the cities across Canada, and utilize the outdoor rink that we have had for the past 5 years. The fictitious wellness center that he tried to borrow $12 million to build 4 months before the last election, in my opinion, had no chance of survival and still doesn't. For those of you in the cities, Gilbert Ledoux has never attended any speakers forums to address off-reserve members during an election campaign. Well, in order for our community to succeed, you need a leader that can work with the people and implement policies so what goes on in the administration is fair, proper, and legal. During my 21 years as councillor, I maintained records to document the work that I was involved in. These records support the information that I'm sharing with you. As the late Gordon Tatusa said, leadership is not an ascension to power, but a descension to the service of your people. People of Muskeg, especially young people, there will be people with strong voices that will try to convince you how to vote. So before you vote in your Muskeg Lake Cree Nation election, review the information that you receive. And I encourage you to pick the council and the chief that will be the most honest, thorough, hardworking, and pleasant individuals available. That is the least that you can do for your grandchildren in the future. There is a biblical passage and it reads, "The only way evil and corruption can succeed is if good men stand by and do nothing." I think I just done my part. Thank you.